Maryland's Missing and the Murdered is a weekly YouTube channel that covers the topic of missing and or murdered individuals from the state of Maryland. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe and click the bell so you'll be notified when the next cases are released. Any updates to cases will be pinned in the comments section of each video. Today we will be discussing the court case and disposition of the murder of Rachel Morin. Many details that were unknown before the trial began were revealed. On June 21, 2024, a judge denied Victor Martinez Hernandez bail, as he posed a flight risk and also due to the severity of the crime. To remind you, he was charged with first-degree murder, assault, rape, and kidnapping. His public defender attempted to get public sympathy by claiming that he cared for his parents and 3-year-old daughter. Needless to say, that did not work. On October 4th, 2024, the judge agreed with the defense attorneys to postpone the trial until April 1st, 2025. On January 2nd, 2025, defense filed motions to move the trial out of Harford County due to, quote, numerous inflammatory and prejudicial reports in legacy and social media, end quote. On January 31st, 2025, the judge ruled against that, saying that the trial would remain in Harford County. In reviewing evidence left at the crime scene, detectives had the suspect's DNA on Rachel's left wrist, neck, and chest. His DNA was also on her Apple Watch. Fortunately, homicide detectives were able to do genetic genealogy on the suspect that led them to a family in Temple Hills, Maryland. Cousin Jose Hernandez testified at trial that Victor was staying with him for 5 months from December 2023 to May 2024 because he was homeless. Victor had left in May 2024, leaving his clothes and shoes behind. Detectives used those clothes to positively identify him with the DNA left behind at the crime scene. The family gave detectives a picture of Victor and also his phone number. Using Victor's phone, they had traced him to a bar in Oklahoma where he gave authorities a fake name. He was arrested and later admitted his real identity, but denied ever being in Maryland. In searching his phone, it revealed searches about Rachel Morin, pictures of her, as well as YouTube videos about the case. DNA was taken directly from him, which matched the DNA at the crime scene. As detectives began tracing his steps prior to December 2023, when he lived with family, they discovered he was living in Bel Air, Maryland with roommates. They testified at the trial. A former roommate of his in Bel Air testified that Victor lived with him during the summer of 2023 when the crime occurred, and had worked as a dishwasher at Barrett's on the Pike. A co-worker testified that he worked there 1 day a week for a month. His former roommate stated that Victor just left a note that he was leaving. Managers at Bel Air Popeyes testified that Victor applied for a job there under the name Robert Campos, and he was hired on June 17, 2023 for 3 to 6 months. Another cousin of Victor's testified, Tanya Hernandez, who stated that he was with her for Christmas 2023 in Alexandria, Virginia, and she gave police his toothbrush and blanket for testing. Rachel's daughter, 14-year-old Violet, testified that her mom went for a run the evening she disappeared, something she did every night. When she did not return, her boyfriend Richard called the police. Violet and Richard went looking for Rachel around 3 a.m. Richard testified that he tried to call Rachel, but it went to voicemail. He voluntarily provided his phone and DNA to police to rule him out as a suspect. Rachel's oldest daughter, Faye, testified that she and her mom were to go to dinner the night she went missing, but she was too tired. She texted her mom at 7:39 p.m., but that message was never read. A surveillance camera at a nearby restaurant had captured Rachel pulling into the trail at 6:50 p.m. The following morning, a widespread search of the Ma and Pa trail began. Evan Knapp was helping to search when he spotted blood-stained rocks and leaves. The 150-foot-long blood trail led to a drainage tunnel under Route 24. There he found Rachel lying in a water stream tunnel, naked. She had many head wounds and was covered in bruises. In the tunnel was one AirPod and her phone. Her cell phone and Apple Watch were destroyed. A shovel was also recovered from the scene, and blood splatter was throughout the tunnel. The medical examiner testified that Rachel had suffered gashes to the front and back of her head, and she had defensive wounds on her wrists. One of her fingernails were broken, along with a finger that had been disfigured. Cause of death was blunt force trauma and strangulation. Her skull was fractured, and she suffered a brain bleed. Investigators learned from her Apple Watch and phone that there were no more health measurements after 7:10 p.m. A forensic pathologist relayed to the jury that Rachel had suffered 15 to 20 blows to her head and face, and that there was a 6 by 6 inch wound to her head that was so deep you could see her skull. A walker on the trail the day of the murder had spotted a man hiding in the trees. He was wearing a gray hoodie, sunglasses, and was using a shovel as a walking stick. The man was being sneaky and acting like he was caught doing something. A minute later, the walker passed Rachel, running with her AirPods in. A few days later, the walker realized that it was Rachel that he had saw running, so he immediately called police. This walker testified at the trial and was shown the shovel retrieved from the crime scene. And the walker confirmed that that was what the suspect was using as a walking stick. When it came time for the defense, they called one witness and rested their case after 10 minutes. The case was given to the jury on April 14th, 2025. They deliberated for 45 minutes before they had their decision. Victor Martinez Hernandez was found guilty of first-degree murder, kidnapping, rape, and sex offenses. On August 11, 2025, it was time for his sentence. A pre-sentence psychological evaluation described the defendant as, quote, marked by coldness, dismissiveness, and a callous attitude when discussing the offense, along with an absence of remorse, insight, acceptance of responsibility, or empathy, significantly heightening concerns about risk of reoffending, end quote. Before pronouncing judgment, the judge said the following, quote, you are not a candidate for rehab. There is simply no hope to rehabilitate you. You took a life that was not yours to take. Your acts not only brutalized a young woman, but also terrorized a community. The Ma and Pa Trail is a place of beauty. Your acts turned that into a place of terror, end quote. Victor Martinez Hernandez was given 2 life sentences without parole, plus 40 years. Needless to say, he will not see the light of day ever again, and he intends to appeal. So, good luck. Thank you for joining me this week. If there's a Maryland's Missing or Murder case you'd like to see on this channel, email me at marylandsmissing@gmail.com. Music is by Silent Vengeance. My X account is Maryland's M&M. Sources will be listed in the outro. Be kind to one another. You never know what will happen tomorrow.